I'm Allie Egan. I'm the founder and CEO of Veracity Self-Care, and we are a totally new type of skincare brand and platform that seeks to stop treating the symptoms of skin problems and really get to the root causes. Yeah, so this is kind of just a really brief overview. Veracity creates a personal self-care experience based on real data about your hormones and other biofactors through our at-home skin plus health tests. We really believe that self-care and skincare should not be this guesswork situation that most women go through, where it's like, what should I be using for my skin? Why is my skin breaking out? What's happening this time of the month? And continuing to basically not have answers and just go through this trial and guess and check kind of methodology. And so we have worked with our medical advisory board, that's a holistic board beyond dermatology, to create this test and hope that it really helps people to sort of understand what is right for their skin and also take better care of their overall health and thus create better skin. This is me. So just really quickly on my background, before taking the step to launch Veracity, I was the CEO of the women's apparel brand, Cynthia Rowley. In my role there, I really took that business from what was kind of a traditional wholesale and licensed apparel brand to a direct-to-consumer brand. We grew the business. We doubled the business in less than 2 years, shifted from 25% direct to consumer to 80%. So really have, sort of deep knowledge on the direct to consumer side. Before that, I was at Estee Lauder companies. I worked at 3 of the bigger brands there, mostly in skincare, Clinique, Origins, and La Mer. And as I like to say, in my previous life, I was an investor in the consumer retail world, working at L Catterton, so investing in beauty brands, apparel, sort of across the retail landscape. And just, a little bit of on the inspiration, obviously, partly I definitely understand the industry as a whole, but really this idea came to me from my own personal experience. So I, had always thought I had oily skin because as a woman consumer, you're sort of taught to think, okay, this is what type of skin I have. And so these are the products I should look for. So I was really shocked when I was in business school and I started getting these dry patches, crazy flaky dry patches, and I couldn't figure it out. Went down the typical rabbit hole of Dr. Google and actually talking to my dermatologist. Tried everything and tried nothing at the same time, and really kind of was in this limbo trial and error period for 3+ years. And it wasn't until I was having fertility related issues and went in to get some testing done that I learned I had a thyroid problem. I have Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism. And reading more into it, it's literally one of the direct symptoms is dry skin patchiness. And I was like, it was kind of like that aha moment of like, oh my God, like my skin was giving me these signs of, what was going on in my overall health, but I just didn't have the tools to listen to it. And so I really wanted to create this brand and platform so that, women don't have to go through this period like I did. And so, whether it's as simple as just, everyday acne, or some much bigger health issues, I think that that's really what we want to help empower women to have that knowledge, and resources to make, progress and change in their skin and their health. This is a brief snapshot of my team, but basically, we're very early. I founded the company, early last year, but we have a really great, sort of roster, of people helping us in different areas. So I've touched on this a little bit, but just to kind of really open it up and don't know how familiar you are with the whole skincare world, but 2 of the big trends going on that I think are here to stay are personalization and then clean beauty. But, both as a consumer and then also having worked in the industry, there's a lot of problems. Like one on the personalization side, everyone is talking about it, but no one is really delivering on it in a meaningful way. So most of the tools now are kind of just online quizzes that really just force you to self-diagnose. So it's, Mark, what is your skin type? What are your concerns? But if you don't know the answer to those questions, it's going to be like garbage in, garbage out. And then on the clean beauty side, it's sort of like the rest of the beauty, skincare and makeup world, where it's just sort of buzzword marketing driven. We have this ingredient, we don't have that ingredient, but no one's really trying to put a scientific definition behind clean and safe, which is what we're trying to do in our products. So again, I've kind of touched on this, but really our solution is three-pronged. One is this authentic personalization via our at-home test, where we can provide real objective data on her and help her find the right solutions. The second is this whole self approach, where when someone comes in, and I'll walk you more through the consumer experience, but when someone comes in and take our test, they're not just getting, an output that's like, here's your 3 products, please check out, and then, come back to us in 3 months when you're out. But also content and insights into what foods they can be eating and what diet and exercise things at a high level that will help them to take best care of their whole health and create better skin. And then the third is on this, scientifically driven version of clean beauty and safe. So we've worked with a PhD in endocrine health to help develop our products, which are will be verified free of all endocrine disruptors in formulas and packaging, and safe for all of these life moments that people go through, and sometimes don't know, and which I think is just so important for women. So just to walk you through a little bit more of the journey. So we kind of have 2 pathways where we have the skin health test, which is kind of like a 23andMe type experience. We mail this kit to you. It's just a simple saliva test. You spit in a tube, mail it back. We are also building a version where, maybe not everyone is ready to go through the test right away, but we also want them to have access to our products. So it's sort of a more in-depth tool that we're using and we'll hope to perfect over time. So based on that, then the customer would get sort of her results and insights. So a report on what her biomarkers are currently and what those implications are for her skin and overall health, as well as her recommended products from our brand. So an example of that would be you would get your estrogen tested, and you would find out, oh, you actually have low estrogen or low on the lower end of estrogen. Well, what does that mean for skin? Well, it means that your body is probably not producing as much collagen as it could be. So you want to look to products that either we have or other brands have that have ingredients that help to stimulate collagen production, like ceramides, for example. And then the third part is really this more community building content, sort of allowing her to explore and sort of build from there. And so we've actually launched our brand with this community and content platform first, which has articles on all different areas of health and skin. And what we have other sort of engagement events with our expert advisors, et cetera, to sort of keep her, interested and learning and exploring better skin and better health. So just a little bit more in depth on the products I've touched on earlier. So first is like this revolutionary Skin Plus Health Discovery Kit. And this is, really the game changer within skincare. And I believe, provides so much value just in people just wanting to know their numbers, but then what insight into practically what to do with that stuff beyond there. So not just, oh, I know my numbers, but now I know what the sort of variables in my own life that I can sort of take charge and affect change. The second is our skincare, which again, I've touched on. And the third is this content and community platform that we're building that will really, sort of help both help people bring people into the brand as well as keep them engaged with us beyond product purchases.
Allie, are you going to go through like price points, consumer price points on these products?
Yeah, I do. I have that in a later slide, but we can jump in whenever you want.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah, please.
What is the big vision 5 to 10 years, where do you hope the company is?
So where I really see us in 10 years from now is on the product side is having a full assortment of both amazing skincare products as well as other personal care. So that's, I said, body care, hair care, supplements, etc. But really being able to offer that full suite. And then is on the testing side is to have a full suite of testing. So, there's sort of like an intro test like we have now, but also the ability for people to learn and sort of explore more.
Okay, great. So I think that's a very compelling vision. My recommendation would be, and I think you did a good job of explaining what Veracity is up front. So sometimes people skip that part. I thought you did a good job. I got it right away. But then I would want to hear what the big vision is. That vision that you just explained, I think it's important to get up front so that the investors listening to the deck know that they're not just, hearing a pitch deck for a single product skincare or even multi-product skincare line, but it's you have a much bigger vision. And I think it sets the stage for just how ambitious you are and your plans for the company. And so having that vision, a few sentences after you say what it is, like, here's our big vision. That slide you had in the back about skincare and wellness, and you showed that was phase one and you were going to do these other phases. I don't think you need that. I think if you pull it up front and just incorporate it as this is our big vision. And we're starting with skincare for this reason, but I wouldn't be so quick to back off really where you want to go. The other thing that's missing for me is that emotional connection, that mission statement, why you exist, why you get up in the morning and want to do this. Like, what is the emotional benefit? How do you hope that they would feel, differently by engaging with your company than not? And maybe just a few words that kind of summarize that mission. And let's click through and see what else.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you talk about, so you had the mission, the vision, values, strategy. Okay, the problem. Okay, next slide is the solution, right? Solution.
Yep.
Okay, great. Next slide.
And then,
next slide.
And then this is that future side, which we could perhaps just sort of move up.
I don't think you need this. I don't think you need this. And the vision slide would be more along the words that you said. I mean, you could have a diagram if you want, but that's a smaller part of the slide. I think the words and the way you laid out the big vision, I think should be right on the slide. Like a few sentences on what you want this to be. Then you don't need this slide. Okay.
Oh, okay. And this was a little bit more on just like our target and the fact that we've had this, what I'll call a unique launch strategy purposely. So for a skincare brand, really starting out as this like trusted platform that's not trying to push product, and then obviously moving into that, full experience this summer and beyond.
Next slide.
Oh,
I think you
this
can
is just a highlight.
I think you can combine this slide and the slide before. I always like to try and keep the deck as tight as possible. The deck was a little bit long, and I think a couple of these slides could be combined. I think basically what do you call the last slide again? This is called the progress.
The go-to-market.
Yeah, the go-to-market progress. Basically, I would combine those two.
Okay.
It just cuts down one. I don't think you get enough value out of a second slide there. Business model. Okay. Yeah. This came way late for me. I like when you first went through the slide, I was like, this sounds like a problem, and I would have expected it to be much earlier. So it's just something to consider. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to the next slide.
And then the last two slides are just kind of an overview on the category and the competition.
Yeah, on the category, a lot of people do this. A lot of people put the sort of the market size and the vision and that kind of stuff towards the back. But I've learned, through experience that setting the stage early, that you're thinking big, especially with venture investors. With angel, you can get away with it, no problem. With venture investing, they want 20x return, and they're coming in at a $20 million valuation or something. They want to see this could be $1 billion company to get that really good return, or at least $500 million. And just getting them like engaged early when they know it's big, and you're thinking big. So it's an easy way for them to weed out. If somebody's thinking small, they will tune out early, so.
So I have a follow-up question on that, if you don't mind. It's what what I wanted, obviously, like, I believe in the vision and believe that this can be a big company. But the other, questions I've gotten, and honestly, things I think about are just, how do you take this big vision and then put it into stuff that you can actually execute, right? Because sometimes people get scared of, wow, you have this big vision, but you're not focused in the right way. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have strong thoughts on that. And I think you have to do it right. And how you think about it and how you talk about it is really important. So I think you need to separate the big and ambitious vision of where you want to go in 10 years and be really clear that that's where I want to go. I have ambitious goals. However, today I am laser focused on skincare. This is where we're starting, and this is why we're starting there. And that will work really well. It accomplishes both. You get to let people know how focused you are. You explain people why you're starting, where you're starting, what you hope to achieve in skincare before you even think about the next thing, that you're not going to sort of run and, jump right into the next thing, that you're going to make sure that you've proven this to a point where it naturally makes sense to go into the next thing. But, you're talking, it could be years before you even do anything outside of skincare, and that's perfectly fine. But it is important to frame it up as a piece of a much larger puzzle. I think that's
that's helpful. Okay. And then the last slide is just this overview on competition. We also have one of those, typical slides that shows the sort of white space graph. But I really find that this one is more relevant to talk to, just because skincare is so crowded. And I think, what we point out here is both from a product perspective as well as even a positioning and branding perspective, that we are doing something different.
This comes a little late for me too. And I don't think, just like you told me on this slide, some of the things you kind of already told me before. And it seemed like a sort of a throw in at the end. Like the idea that there's these traditional skincare, personalized skincare, and neither one is doing it right. And you're taking you have a completely different strategy to win in this sector. That's why I almost think if you did do the big vision and then you wanted to say, okay, this is a really big vision, and this is our strategy. It's unique. We've got your traditional skincare here, personalized skin here. We're taking a completely different approach using science and all this stuff. I think getting to that early and hitting it harder after the vision, I think would be really compelling, because the first thing I'm thinking after you tell me about this big vision is, great, but what's your strategy? How are you going to do that? Just to say you want to be really big and you want to do all these things, how? And then you basically, our strategy is, unlike the competition, which are doing this and this, we're doing this. This is our high level strategy on how we're going to attack this vision. One other small gnat, when you talk up front about the company and you say, this is what it is, which is great. I love that. This is what it is. I would also say, tell the investor where you are up front, really, and really a couple bullets, high level, we did raise $2 million pre-seed or whatever, $1 million pre-seed. We've got 5 employees and we're, a year old and we're getting ready to launch. Just a few bullets like that, kind of it just sets the stage for, this is what it is. This is where we are. Okay, now let me tell you, a story of how this kind of happened and stuff. And then I jump into, this is the big vision. This is our mission and values. We're missionary oriented, or maybe the mission values first. We're missionaries. This is why we get out of bed in the morning. This is the big vision we have. This is our unique strategy or approach to how we're going to achieve that vision that's differentiated from the market. Go into a little more detail on the problem. little more, the solution, what the product is, the business model, the financials, and then the team, and then the financing, and try to keep it really tight like that. And maybe I think we missed a slide on actually like where you are today, and which you had a good slide on that, but something along those lines, I think would make it nice and tight.
Okay, no, that's super helpful. Yeah, it's always an iterative process getting.
Yeah, but I thought you did a really good job. I mean, you did have everything in the deck. You're much further along than a lot of other startup founders that have been on the startup stand-up. So, congrats on getting this far pre-launch. I think you're in a really good spot. And I love the idea.
Thank you.
I think it's differentiated. I think it's got a lot of potential, and I think you're going to do really well. I think you're going to do really well.
Well, thank you. I hope so.